Good morning, my friends. Happy Wednesday. Yes, it's Wednesday here, but I hope that wherever you are in the spectrum of time, you are vitally well and feeling into this moment very deeply. I wanted to jump on again today, day 2 of a little cold, and because I am self-caring myself, I want to offer to you what I do, why I do all the things that I do. And I touched yesterday on a sweat and a heat and what a fever does in the body. And there are a few pieces of this sweating detoxing technique that I want to share with you. And one of them is, I'm going to start with a scarf. So this is a Chinese medicine tradition to have the back of your neck covered, specifically throughout winter, when we have colder weather, when we are not seeing the sun as much, when we are probably a little more inside and a little more less movement, right? Because we're not outside frolicking in the fields, we're inside staying warm with our fires and soup and all of these beautiful things. But I am not a Chinese medicine expert person, so if I have this incorrectly, I would love to hear feedback in the comments below. From what I was taught was that in Chinese traditions, the wind that comes through the back of the neck is what is correlated to sickness. So the wind coming through the body, cooling the body down drastically, carrying virus, bacterial loads, essentially chilling the body out when we are really needing to stoke our internal fire. So I've played with having my neck covered in many ways, whether it's a turtleneck or a hood or a neck gaiter. And really what I have found is having an actual scarf. The neck gaiter does work, but they need to be thick. So having something physically wrapped around the neck, touching the neck only. Hoods don't seem to do it because I think there's some space in the back of the hood that then allows the wind to kind of collect at the back of your neck. Those of us with long hair, we kind of have a naturally built-in scarf. I do find that that's effective if we tuck it correctly, but that's not very comfortable. We don't like doing that. So I love wearing a scarf, and because I'm still not 100% today, I still feel the runny nose and a little scratchy in the back of my throat, not as much, no more pain, just hello, throat, I feel you. Because of all of this, oh, my power was out. Distraction. So because of all of this, it happens a lot. We've had a windstorm and snow and it's crazy, so it just happens. But because of all of this, when we are nourishing our neck space, and because of the theory with the wind coming in and cooling the body down and carrying things through our bodies, when we have our necks covered, a lot of the times we're able to stay away from being sick, or if we have caught a cold or some other thing, to keep this on and keep your body super, super cozy. Don't allow more wind to come through. Don't allow more cold to come through, which is precisely what I did this weekend while my husband and I were hunting in the woods. I did not have my neck covered, and it was very windy and it was very cold. So I firmly believe in the neck and the coziness of this, and I sometimes sleep with this on, but really having thick socks and a super good covering when you're sleeping to really sweat. You want to keep sweating. You want to keep the warmth trapped inside of your body. And by having the sweat, the heat really trapped inside of your body, the natural function of your sweating, of your body detoxing the lymphatic system especially, you are going to automatically be able to purge the sickness that is inside of you. And there's a lot of debate, especially right now, happening with terrain theory versus the theory of bacteria and microorganisms. And I really feel, I can see validity to both sides. However, this sweating technique is incredibly in tune with the terrain theory. We are taking the body that has taken on something to alter the homeostasis, and we are purging that. We are then working with our terrain. We are working with the internal capacities of our body to sweat and detox naturally. And we're working with that to help nourish the body in its response to the sickness. So, what does a sweat look like? Well, a sweat can look like sitting by the fire, wrapped up in all of this and blankets and all of the things, with your head covered, keeping all of the heat inside until you're sweating. It can also, this is my favorite way, getting in a really almost uncomfortably hot bath and putting essential oils, whatever you love to smell for comfort. I do a lot of crystal therapy in my baths, and Epsom salts for sure, as we know that pulls all of the detoxing, it pulls things out of our bodies already. So working with those types of things, and a bath, like, you don't have to bathe because you're going to keep sweating after you get out of your bath. So like, while I'm sick, I will get in a bath once a day at least. If I was really going to spoil myself, I'd get in one in the morning and one in the afternoon. But having time for that is a whole other situation. So getting in the bath, and like, you don't want to sear yourself, of course. You want your skin to be pink, but the main function here is you're increasing your heart rate as if you were doing some like intense cardio, and you are creating a sweat. Now, the first night that we came home from the forest on Monday, and I could kind of feel this coming, like my husband had been sick, and then I felt the tingling in the back of my throat, and I was like, oh crap, I picked this up as well. And I talked yesterday about why I feel why. So I got in the bath, and it was hard to break a sweat. It was not like that automatic detox response was not happening, and that it tells me that, oh, there is definitely something here, because it's harder, and the body has to work harder to do something it does very naturally, which is just sweat to detox. So I took an extra long bath. It was extra hot, lots of Epsom salts, and honestly, like, the sleeping has not been great, but I have felt way better than maybe I should feel. And the duration of this is, I can already tell today, waking up this morning, I didn't feel hot, but like, I took some herbs, making my tea right now, and I sweat all night long, and that kind of keeps me awake. So I just sleep extra long, but I can feel the homeostasis coming back as I eliminate these like toxic feeling things from my terrain. So the bath is my favorite way to get a sweat, and having all of the tools like the Epsom salts, the essential oils, and crystals if you want. Like, I put obsidian in the bath last night, and I did another one, I can't remember its name, but it's like a blending of masculine and feminine energies, and that to me is really nourishing too, because those crystals really do draw energy out of the body. And that is another way to get a sweat. Another way to get a sweat going is to be all bundled up like this in your warm house, maybe even laying in bed and drinking hot tea, drinking hot bone broth, drinking lots of warm liquids to bring that into your body, to get the temperature just to rise up a little bit more, to then break into a sweat. So I find the sweating to be the most therapeutic form of nourishing the body, getting it back to homeostasis by having it work with its natural rhythms. We naturally detox when we sweat. And by implementing this while we are feeling unwell, we are only activating our bodies, reminding it that it knows what to do, instead of taking a bunch of chemicals to mask the symptoms. I really feel like when we just mask everything and we continue, we're like, oh, I feel great because I took this Sudafed or Advil or whatever it is. When we do that, we're not saying hello to our bodies. And what I see just from observation, people tend to stay sick longer. They prolong it while we are masking all the things, instead of just taking a couple of days to really, really nourish the body through herbs, through tea, sweat practices, being cozy and warm and delicious, resting, tons of vitamin C, all the things. I really see that when we work with the body and we nourish it and we give it what it needs, which is extra attention, we're able to bounce back much faster. And it's not disrupting our lives for like a week or 10 days, and then this cold like goes into your lungs, and then you're coughing, and then it's terrible, and then you're freaking everybody out around you, especially now. I really have seen it work over and over and over again, to just talk to the body. How, and fevers. Fevers are our body's response to usually a virus, sometimes a bacterial infection. If it is very, very, if it's cemented in there, you'll get a fever with bacterial infections. But the fever is your body's responding to a pathogen coming in, disrupting the homeostasis of your body, and your body is saying, hey, I'm going to burn you off, little thing. I'm going to get you out of here because this is what I do. I want to keep my person feeling great, and I'm going to burn you off. And so that's what a fever is. And we don't, fevers are really interesting. Like the suppression of fever, I just really have never loved that idea. I know that it's scary, especially with children, when you're a mom and your child has a fever. And however, it's scary, it's very unnerving, you're worrying. But if we just say hello fever for a couple of days, let the fever do its thing. If it keeps getting higher and higher, that's not a good thing. We want to address that immediately. However, the fever is the body's responses to invasion and helping it to be relieved by sweating, by detoxing, and by killing things off, taking temperatures up so that these pathogens are not in a lovable situation. They're not in a situation they're not in a home that they enjoy being in. So that's the point of the fever, and that is the point of the sweat, because common colds, you're not usually catching a fever. Sometimes you are, but you're not really catching a fever. So that is why I love the sweating. That is why I love the coziness. And I usually wear extra clothes to bed and cozy everything around me. And that is super huge also. So thank you for sticking with me. I love talking to you about these little tips from an herbalist perspective. Again, I've been working with plant medicine for 16 years, which is mind-blowing that I'm at that point in my life, but it's great. So I've been working with this capacity of nourishment and healing for a very long time for my age. And I look forward to being a 60-year-old woman with an entire lifetime of herbal knowledge. But this is where we bring herbalism into our daily lives by remembering what it is to be a human being, and a natural human being, a person that is here to thrive and feel glorious. But because we're human and there's other things happening and stressors, we do get sick. It's just the way it goes. Even herbalists get sick. So I just wanted to jump on again and say thank you for being here with me on this journey. I very much look forward to being on here tomorrow, and hopefully all good. Hopefully just a little runny nose or whatever. But Definitely be well during this winter season. Remember, the heat is a good thing, fever is a good thing, as long as it's only a few days, and to take care of you and yours very well through nature, because you are nature. I love you guys. Feel free to like and subscribe and share this video if you feel called to do so. I would greatly appreciate it. It means the world to me. Helps us to remember, I hope, remember that we are nature. And I love you, and I'll talk to you very soon.